Hi everybody. The activity that I chose for my resource walkthrough dealt with third grade math, and it was fractions in particular. That's what I chose. I'm actually a kindergarten teacher, so I chose third grade because fractions were always something that I thought were difficult in school and equally as difficult to teach sometimes. So I chose fractions as my general area that I would be talking about today. So the lesson that I found was from LearnZillion.com, and as you can see up at the top, it gives a little rundown of what the lesson's about. It says, understand fractions as the partitioning of a whole, and when I first went through this lesson, the first thing I did was I went to the Common Core Standards website, and I found right here, that's the standard that it belongs under. It says, understand a fraction 1 over b as the quantity formed by one part when a whole is partitioned into b equal parts. Understand a fraction a over b as the quantity formed by a parts of size 1 over b. And then right away I went to the Nebraska standards, and I'll admit it was kind of hard for me to find where this standard was in the Nebraska standards because I've been teaching in Iowa for the last 2 years, and so I'm not really familiar with the Nebraska standards as much as I was when I was in college. But I finally did find it, and right here, MA 3.1.1.E says to express whole numbers as fractions and recognize fractions that are equivalent to whole numbers. And then just in this general area right here, all of those standards deal with fractions. All right, so let's get back to the activity. All right. What I really loved about this when I first saw it was that I could do this on an interactive whiteboard, which I do have in my classroom. And at my school, not all classrooms have the luxury of having a interactive whiteboard yet. That is something that they want to finally get to, but not everyone has that yet. But this would be a great lesson if you have an interactive whiteboard to display to your students. All right, so if you click right here to begin lesson, it gives a scenario, and there's actually a woman who does talk through this scenario. And right here, prior knowledge connection, I love that it gives that because some students don't really have a lot of prior knowledge on some ideas in particular. It says the miners at each mine have to share all gold bars equally. How many bars does each miner get to keep? And then it lists 4 different mines here, and the number of bars that they made, and then the number of miners who would be sharing the bars. So then if you go on to the next page, it talks about Cocoa Mine. Actually, there's a video here that also connects more prior knowledge to the students. It's a video about gold bars. And, I hope you can hear this.
At the gold mine, miners often sift through pans like these, looking for gold nuggets. Once they have collected a bunch of gold nuggets, the gold nuggets are melted together to create gold bars like the...
So I thought this was interesting because it would make the learning so much more meaningful to someone who maybe had no idea about gold bars or gold nuggets. So that's great that they put that in there. I think as the video goes on, yep, it goes through each of the scenarios. So I'm going to stop it right about here.
Let's start by discussing Cocoa Mine. Because they found 8 bars and 2 miners are sharing those bars, we can figure out how much each miner gets by giving each miner 1 bar until there are no bars left to share. We can see that each miner will get to keep 4 bars.
All right, so that's where she talked about the partitioning, which was included in the standard. And that does continue on for the rest of the mines. If you keep clicking next, there's more. This is the conceptual understanding task. And then right here you can see it lists different mines and different scenarios for each, just for more practice. There's more videos. There's even a closing, which is great. I find that sometimes when you're doing a lesson, the closing is something that gets cut short. It's something that I've always tried to work on, but it still unfortunately is something that sometimes gets taken away from the lesson. Right, there's even an exit ticket and an additional practice. What I liked, one thing that I noticed right away that I really liked about this was the teaching notes on the side. It even talks about the pacing. It talks about the purpose of why you're doing each step. And I think that that's great for teachers to have, especially if, you know, it's something that they're not used to teaching or something that they need some more knowledge about themselves. Thank you for listening to my resource walkthrough. I look forward to looking at yours. Thank you.